Okay, hey guys. I figured I'd give some commentary on this little recording I did with Bermuda. Typically, I'm always recording when I'm playing this game, just in case something entertaining ends up happening and I can save it for memories. It's always good to record when you're on a server that does have rules, of course, and I actually have gotten a few dinosaurs back from recording rule breaks and such. I never really do it intentionally to try to get people in trouble. It's just to get my dinosaur back if I felt it was lost unfairly. Currently, right now, I'm playing Para, as I was super excited for the update. As you can see, I heard a Rex sneaking up on me. And to be fair, if he had any sneaky inherited, I actually would have been dead there, because he had the ambush and everything all set up on me. It was pretty scary, but luckily Para does naturally run faster than Rex. And then out of nowhere, my friend over there is getting attacked by an acro. So just the worst timing. I'm chased by Rex, he's being attacked by an acro. Luckily, I believe he had some constitution, and he was also incredibly overweight. But luckily, he seemed to run off. I'm not too sure if it was me or the Rex that seemed to get him nervous. But after that, I believe the Rex and the acro started having a bit of a standoff there. A little interesting. But, I really love the new Para update. I love the model, I love the animations, I love the sound. It's all, and I haven't played Para in a long time. It's actually one of my main herbivores. Para and Appa are my two favorites, all in all. So I was really happy to get Para back and, enjoy it. And this is probably my fourth Para. I kind of screwed around with a few other ones that I ended up either killing intentionally or lost from other things. Actually, fun fact, this Para has been resurrected already from a Rex attack. So this Para's already had some pretty bad luck to begin with. But, so I ended up, recording, and as you can tell, there was a little bit of a flood coming in, and this was one of those times where the rain hadn't come for a long time, so we were all pretty excited, that the water is going to fill up again, we're going to get water, saturation and such, And I wasn't really too worried. In fact, you can see me just being that guy who's just laying outside of the cave because 3 out of 3 weather, not to mention next to a bunch of shelter appas. I got the near friends icon. I do have one inherit into the tough stomach, so being overweight wasn't giving me too much stress, of course. And being 3 out of 3 weather, you typically are pretty much safe from anything as long as you're just not traveling around in the rain for too long. I would say for an animal like Para, probably some resilience is going to help. Resilience and healing will definitely help you with traveling around in weather, but there's no real need to do that if you're a herbivore, because you could just sit AFK with all your friends around here. But yeah, I sped up a bit of this because this is really just me sitting around enjoying the growth storm, getting my Para grown again, because of course getting resurrected, you do not get them back at the exact same size they were. It's going to be slightly decreased, so I'm trying to work on getting him back again. When he was lost, he was just under 1.2, and right now, currently, he got to 1.2 in the recording of this video. But, no, I mean, everything seemed alright for the most part. I wasn't even too worried about the fact that there was a flood that everyone was talking about. Because typically floods, at least on this server and on this part of the map where I typically always am as a herbivore, it only gets, the water gets to about where I am, but if I just were to go into that cave and go further up to the top of the mountain where there's a bridge, it would have been just fine. It's pretty much safe up there. I've never really seen the water go any higher up to that point any time. The highest I've seen it was when I was my Appa here, and that Appa was still walking in it. So the water got a little bit higher up, and everyone was getting a little nervous. My one friend, Satan here, was getting a little lost in the caves. These caves can be kind of a pain in the neck to navigate, so I came down to navigate and help them out. And as you can see, the rest of the herd has migrated up here. We actually do have a baby Appa up here. He is the only fortunate Appa to be here, as the other ones have been unfortunately stuck down below in the lower levels. Everything was still pretty alright. You can tell I was pretty chill about the whole thing. I was just enjoying the fact that, there's no birds or other animals going to be attacking me right now with the weather. I found opportunity in the fact that because it was raining so much, that water over here was refilling, so I was able to get some water saturation. Or water citation, I think is pronunciation. I always just call it saturation. I find that to be way more, way much of a nicer, it just sounds nicer on the tongue for me. And some other guys followed me, and I'm assuming they probably were 3 out of 3 weather resistant. Unfortunately, all the babies we had were not so lucky. We had a few egg hatch size with us. or as I like to call them, potatoes, because that's what they are. They're just little potatoes with club tails. We had those guys, so they don't have any weather resistance, of course, most likely, unless they put their first 3 points into it, which I'd be surprised. It's possible, though, actually, from what's going to end up happening later on in this video. But yeah, no, if you don't have weather resistance, if you don't have 3-3, don't even bother coming out for water like what I'm doing. Not to mention, by the way, I typed in chat, if you have 3-3 weather resistance, you're fine. And then I look and realize that the water is getting incredibly high up. In fact, where I'm about looking, that's where I was sitting, that's where I was sitting. That was the bottom of the cave. And now, you know, this is the spot where, you know, everyone's gonna be fine, you know. Definitely at this point, though, on the map, there's not many spots that are safe except for this point, and maybe 3 to 4 other islands with high mountains. Unfortunately, you can tell Cam and Dusty over there struggling. I don't remember what ended up happening with their fates, but I know they're definitely in trouble right now. We have an Appa in the water, unfortunately, the poor thing. And the water actually got so high that people in the cave were no longer safe, which is really, really scary now, because without any full shelter, everyone's completely in trouble. And this is where I started losing my sanity here, because this was incredibly terrifying. I've never seen a flood like this before. Pardon me. And yes, now we're all just huddling onto this little, this one little patch here. This is not the tallest part of the island, but it's what we're kind of stuck going to because the other part was too steep to climb up to. And it's just getting worse. I mean, I'm desperately trying to get higher and higher up just to feel a little bit more secure. I've actually lost dinosaurs like this before in similar situations where I was a Megalo or a Rex, and Chronos and Elasmos particularly would grab you, or even, actually, I'm sorry, not Chrono, but Moza and Elasmos would grab you. Especially Elasmos, you have to watch out for their long necks. And now, I mean, luckily, I was hopefully that just being in a big group like this, I wouldn't be the one to get grabbed if that ends up happening, because in floods like this, everyone's going to be logging onto their aquatic and such. And it's just this cluster of very colorful tails just peeking out of this mountain. This is just, and now me just memeing, typing in the chat, just having a little too much fun with how crazy this is getting. Unfortunately, at the end of this, you're not going to see a lot of these dinosaurs around, and as far as I know, no one was able to log off, so I don't think everyone made it. And now I am unfortunately swimming along with almost everyone. Soon everyone will be swimming. I was looking around to see how things were looking. Oh, so yes, you can see that one red ichthy on top of the mountain, on top of the little land. That's where he was hanging out with us too for a bit in the cave, and now he's trying to survive like us. I decided to stay with the herd just because of safety in numbers instead of being on my own, because I really wanted to go to the other part of the island that's right over there. Yeah, I really wanted to go to that, but the thing is, no one else was going to it. And if I start traveling alone, I'm going to be a sitting duck to get grabbed, unfortunately. But now there is completely like no land left at this point, and I decided to make a break for it. This is where lag comes in. My apologies here and there. And then I think it's right here. It's going to be to my right. You can see a purple Chrono swimming around. And as soon as I saw him, I turned back around. You can see some Elasmos are swimming around. After that, I decided to make my way back to the herd, because at that point, as much as grazed dry land is, I could be a sitting target. And the thing is, you know, one pair is a pretty easy meal, but I was hoping, unfortunately, that the predators would go after the Appas or some other paras, maybe, just out of luck. I tried to get myself kind of wedged into the group just so I had more protection. But I think I ended up typing, I ended up typing to everyone, because if we can all move at once, we're far more safe. You know, I don't want to travel by myself, but I don't want us all sitting ducks like this, so I mentioned to everyone we gotta get to the other part of the island, and I looked over to see if anyone happened to be joining me. I had a few paras with me, luckily, so I decided, you know, at this point, forget it, I'm moving. And I think in chat here and there, people were typing to the Elasmos. I think the Elasmos were being a little bit friendly, and I'm really bad with Elasmo calls, but I think they were too calling. I'm not too sure, though. And then, yes, there was a NATO spotted in the distance to my left there. And it only goes downhill, because that NATO... So the way NATOs work in Beast Bermuda, they go towards people with the least amount of shelter. So if you have no shelter on you, the NATO tracks over towards you. So the thing is, we have a bunch of dinosaurs with completely no shelter at all whatsoever. That NATO's going to be heading towards us at a straight line. So at that point, you know, being farther away from them is going to help me, but I also have no shelter. You can see my health is in the red right now. And just trying my best to get a little bit of land. And I saw, yes, the water was going down ever so slightly, which was good. But you can see Elasmo right there kind of trying to munch on me, I think. And hearing that, oh, and someone I can see now in chat, so the Chrono that was, I spotted that's attacking the Elasmo is a Chrono named Ranks, and Ranks is a significantly brutal Chronosaurus player. And there's the NATO. And I decided, you know, just a little bit of shelter there. I'm going to sit down and just hope for the best. The NATO is right there, picking up. I think it even, yep, it begins moving me a little bit. I don't know how I got so lucky. But that little slab of wall was protecting me, thank goodness. And there was a point where I was just dying laughing at just how ridiculously crazy this was. I mean, like, yeah, they were like, WTF is this game? Like, I just want to play a dinosaur game, and this just got so brutal and so terrifying so quickly. I'm kind of that guy who spams the memes in the group chat, so that's why I'm kind of just rambling a bunch of nonsense in the global chat. Pardon me, I'm just getting over a cold, so my throat's not used to this much talking, so I'm going to be coughing here and there. My apologies. I might even sound a little bit stuffy here and there. And there we go, me once again singing Somewhere Beyond the Sea, which I think is pretty fitting for this sort of situation. You know, somewhere away from me. Looking with the water going down, and I think me being too heavy for Elasmos to pick me up, it was pretty alright, you know, everything was pretty okay. In fact, there was some trees here. Pardon me. There was some trees here that were edible and such, thank goodness. I had one buddy who was stuck on a tree, so I ended up I was big enough to knock them down, so I said I'd try to help him here. If I can knock down the trees, he wouldn't be as, like, stuck to them. And I think I managed to right about, there we go, there it was, yeah. And I look over, and look, we still have some peeps over there, but you can tell not as many anymore, and after hearing all the chaos earlier, I'm assuming our Appas did not make it, and we had the Chrono Ranks probably did grab a few of them. I believe, depending on the rules, I believe on this server there could be 2 gore per pack, I believe. I'm not too sure though. I'm not much of a hunter pretty often. At least I'm not much of a I shouldn't say overly rule follower, but I don't compete with people all that much, so I don't find myself getting into the whole rules of contesting and such. I'm a pretty passive player, hence why I prefer herbivore overall. And there's the NATO grabbing a bunch of people. It ends up grabbing a baby Cycinia that I end up having to grab later on. I think he just gets thrown all the way, like, halfway down the mountain. It's crazy. And, you know, there's me and the other pair just, you know, 5 calling for any sort of help at all. Oh, if there is a god, he hears our cries but will not listen. I don't even know where I was going at this point. I just got bored, but then I realized that NATO's still heading towards us. And it just kept getting louder and louder, and NATOs are one of the most terrifying things, I swear. We got a few little birds here and there. They're trying to survive as well. I think it's, yeah, and there we go, so just as I scrolled over, Sneck, I believe how you pronounce his name, he was a little Cycinia that got thrown across the mountain. And luckily it got low enough now that the cave was once again an option, so to get away from the NATO, I decided to slowly head down, lead the other pairs. I wanted to get some trees first, because I was hungry, but then the NATO came back, so I decided to just book it as quick as I could, but I realized I was getting stuck Instead of spending time trying to jump to get high, to get over, I decided to just sit down again and try the same strategy as I did before. And I believe, yeah, there I am typing "Why a cruel world." There's just no rest. There's no break. There just is. I find it ironic that it was just me. It was just some paras that followed me to this island. I'm not too sure why no one else did. They really should have, because I mean, clearly got way more dangerous where the other ones were. Oh, there we are, getting pumped around. The one guy panics. The other guy got picked up. The yellow para. It's just, yeah, the NATO's right on top of us. Yeah, these games are secretly horror games in disguise. And I realized that the water level was finally low enough that I could kind of make a quick descent to the cave quickly. And there I am typing. I try to let everyone know, just so that, you know, everyone has a fair chance to get to safety. But the water's going down, and it was finally, for the most part, finally over. The NATO was still around. NATO was still around, and NATO was still being pretty aggressive, and even came after me a couple other times. But it was still worthy time for a victory dance, if I do say so myself. Well, so now while the growth storm is gone, the NATO is still incredibly active. It seems to just love the island that we're on right now, so we're not able to come out. But you'll notice that one name tag all the way over there, Snek, S-N-E-K, I believe, Snek? I believe we had to go get him because he got carried by a tornado at some point. Here I walked by the the red ichthyonator from earlier, and it turns out he's been hunkering down with one of our other little baby potato cycinias. So I took the little potato and decided to take him back to the herd, as the ichthy was not able to pick him up without giving him stress or anything. So me and the ichthy just kind of calmly, casually, very peacefully made our way down the cave. I got the little guy to the herd where he was given food and water and such, but then there was still a matter of getting Snek. I made my way to him, and at first I thought that, you know, quite a few people died, so maybe he just respawned and he's farther away, but no, he's a fresh spawned potato that got carried all the way that far. Where I ran by is just that mountain that we were on when the flood finally attacked us. There's a little pink pair. I'm not too sure where he popped up from, but he's not even in our group. And I didn't even realize he was a baby Cycinia too. I thought he was just some other animal, because I walked by, I'm like, where is he? Like, oh, he's this tiny little name tag. I was in so much disbelief, like how he got picked up by a NATO and brought all the way over here. As you can see, first I struggled to get up here. Pair not the most agile, and you know, I struggled to even pick the gosh darn little fella up. So then I said eat all the food, try to get the food out of the way, but then the trees were in my way. So then I had to eat the trees and get them out of my way, and then pick the little guy up. And then had to get him to the herd, so that's two little Cycinia potatoes that I had to babysit and take care of after the horrible extinction level event. I hope you guys enjoyed this little commentary, though. You guys were pretty responded pretty positively to my other Beast of Bermuda recordings. If you guys want to see more like this with actual commentary over it, let me know. It's a lot of fun for me. I love talking, and it's way easier than having to write down a script for this, as I have the screen right in front of me. You guys have a good one.